Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to be having a Q&A with the writer-director, Lauren Himmelvo, and her daughter, Isabel Himmelvo, who is the star in this film called Fault Line, which is such a beautiful, tender story about processing loss. And I would like to start off with having Lauren and Isabel introduce themselves, say a little bit about what roles you played in this film, and kind of the message that you wanted to come out of this film.
Okay. Hello, I'm Lauren Himmelvo. I'm the director and creator of the film, which is technically a pilot for a series, an episodic series that we're hoping to continue with. I'm a trained director, and it was exciting to work with my daughter, Isabel, who is the star of the film. And maybe you can introduce yourself a little.
Yes, so my name is Isabel Himmelvo, and this was the first film project I've ever worked on. And I'm really thankful that I got to do it with my mom because I felt very comfortable. It was like a very good first experience, I think. And yeah.
Okay, good to hear.
Yes, I've interviewed some other daughter teams before, and they kind of say that they actually get along better while they're filming than in real life. Did that kind of happen with you too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are you still getting along with me today?
Yeah. Today.
Today.
Yes. Today is a good day.
It was actually amazing. I always had a lot of faith. You know, I've seen her do a lot of theater, and but she was incredibly professional. And I think it was nice because we kind of surrounded her with a lot of really talented, great actors and crew. So it sort of elevated her, and it was a lot of fun to see her in that mode.
It's hard to believe that it was your first feature as a star in a film, because you did do an excellent job. So I'm curious, did you kind of get born out of the womb as an actress, or did that come to you later on in your life?
I think I've always been drawn to performing, like whether that was just telling a story to my family and adding in voices and talking about like the characters. I think we did plays when I was younger in elementary school, and my teacher kind of realized like, oh, Izzy really likes this, so she would always give me a main role, and I would always go into character. I remember playing a lot of like kings, and that was always really fun. But like, wasn't there a time when I started crying?
Yes, there's a famous story when she was this big at 18 months where she was telling us a story, and we were, asked her to do something. She said, wait, she's only 18 months. Do it again and film it, and I'll cry. And she immediately snapped into mode. And I remember thinking, this is interesting. This kid can perform on demand.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always been the joke that Izzy could cry at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions later on, because there is a scene where you do have a beautiful tear coming down your face. And I was wondering, did they have to put in drops, or were you able to do that yourself?
No. And I think that moment I'll never forget, because the woman that she was working with, there wasn't a dry eye on the set. It was like everybody felt, I mean, she's from Mexico. She embodied that character. And I think
she helped me feel the emotions a lot more like authentically. I feel like I was really sad in that scene.
Yeah.
Because of
she's amazing.
Yeah. Again, it's hard to believe that this is your first film, but it sounds like you had practice in the past, starting at age 18 months. So yes. You actually have a very
it kind of came out that way.
A very long career. And what a great thing to have a mom who's a writer and a director, right?
Yes, definitely.
It helps.
So let's switch over to your mom a little bit. Lauren, how did you get involved in film?
I like Izzy, kind of as a young person, was always directing all the family, the cousins, the neighborhood kids. I was known as, you know, putting on a production. I think they still call me regularly and ask me which production we're doing today. So, you know, I was just kind of a natural leader and loved telling stories and, you know, thought at one point I was going to be a writer, and then applied to film schools and really just decided that that was what I was going to do. So, you know, I took a big chunk of time off. This project is, I raised the two kiddos to a point where I feel like I can come back to this and do this the way I want to do it. So it's exciting because Izzy has always known she wanted to do this, and I've always known that I wanted to get back to this. So we used it as an opportunity to just try to launch something and see what would happen.
Perfect time for both of you. It just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
Do you, either of you, have influences, either as an actress for you, Isabel, or as a film director or writer for you, Lauren?
Do you want to answer me, or?
Like, to clarify your question, like someone who influences me as an actor?
Yeah, somebody that you
look up
kind of
to,
say, oh, I would like to be like that person.
Well, one thing that my other mom has always enforced on me is to, like, if I wanted to become an actress, like having a very good education and caring about, like, learning about the character and
So to make sure
doing
you
study
have.
on theater. Like, a lot of actresses that I look up to are Natalie Portman. Like, I know that she was very.
She was well educated before, along the way.
Who else? I love The Professional. Matilda. I've always loved that role. Like, just the way that she became Matilda.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anybody else? How about somebody that's like a contemporary, somebody your age?
Oh.
That you think is a good actor?
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, well, I know I can talk about these things for decades.
Well, I love, first of all, that you mentioned your other mom as being an influence for you, because this really is a family project. Your brother was in it, and your other mom helped write the story. I think I heard somewhere. Yeah. So.
Yeah, she's a writer. Yeah. So that's cool.
For Laura, for you, your influences.
I would say, you know, for sure, you know, coming up in film school, I was always drawn to films like the films of Mike Leigh, you know, Secrets and Lies, you know, just very authentic portrayals of families and family life. And I hate to say it, but I'm kind of drawn to intense themes. The next project that I'm talking about doing is about a grandmother, a daughter, and then a granddaughter, and sort of exploring the themes of loneliness in the sort of how that follows through this line of women. So yeah, I mean, I think it's funny how when you ask these questions, like all the films that I love, you know, one of my favorite films has always been Ordinary People. I love that movie. Just really, really natural, authentic portrayals of family life and real people.
Yeah, I get the sense that you are a relationship director, because Ordinary People was a very intense movie that kind of focused on the relationship of that family as it was falling apart. And your film, you really bring out all of those feelings of what it's like for a mom, for a daughter to experience traumatic loss like that. And so it's really beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm curious about the idea behind the music that you picked, because in the film, Isabel's character has a certain condition that causes you to utilize different senses then they get kind of cross-wired. And so when you hear music or you experience a feeling, you might see different colors, and it's kind of like you're going out of your own reality into another reality. But it was also connected to the music that you played, and there were some great songs, especially the haunting last song on the film. But can you talk about how you came up with those scenes? Did you write the scenes first and then find the music, or did you find the music and then maybe modify the scene a little bit?
Yeah, I could definitely talk about that. Well, music has always been sort of the driving factor for me and probably everything in my life creatively. So, our family, this is really based on, there's a lot of truth to sort of how we came to this story. Our family has always, since the kids were young, gone to Marfa. We have a place there, and it's been our sort of creative outlet. You go there and we all create. Yeah. And so during COVID, we got stuck there for 10 days, and we weren't sure when school was going to happen, what. So Izzy and Jane, my wife, and I all got together and decided, let's work on something. Let's do something, and think about making another film for me. So I think up until that point, for probably 4 or 5 years, I had been compiling the soundtrack for this film. Those songs were the songs that we drove to Marfa. Those songs were, Simmel, who is now somebody I know and has, was involved a little bit in the process. There was even talk at one point of him doing the whole soundtrack, which would have been extraordinary. But he was wonderful and generous and loved what we were doing and saw a lot of the film early on and gave us the songs. For me, it was always going to be a bookend. It starts with Symmetry and then it ends with that really haunting song at the end. There's so much personal in it. Michael Torkey, who's a composer and he lives in New York. I actually in college worked with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra and recorded with David Zinman that recording of that song. And then I got to talk to him about the film and tell him about this. He wrote this incredible 4-piece symphony that is called Bright. The piece that we use in the film is called Bright Blue Music. And so they're all colors. One's orange. And so we used one of my favorite pieces. Bright Blue Music is that first moment where she talks about going into that state of synesthesia where, she sees color. It was just an amazing process for me. Music, supervising and bringing that to a project is for me all the driving. Izzy knows, she's nodding here, that it's the inspiration for everything I do. Like I'm working on 2 other projects and I play for them all the time. Here's the soundtrack. Here's where the film's going to open. I already know, like the minute we start.
There's a lot of songs that I associate with Marfa. And also I have been playing cello for most of my life, and just playing any instrument in Marfa is just so inspiring. It's just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's a really, really unique place.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about Marfa, because not everybody knows that this wonderful little border town right in Texas, and all of the art that's there and the creativity. And when we were talking before, Isabel, you said that it's a place that's part of your heart, and it was comfortable being able to film there. So what does Marfa mean for you, and what is it like to spend time there?
I think it's a very special place where I think I definitely grew up, because whenever you go there, you feel like you're cut off from the world. And it's just a place where there's artists, and a big part of the film was how I felt like listened to and like I was heard as an artist. I think Marfa's like if you're an artist, you should go to Marfa, because they will look at your art and listen to you.
Yeah.
And just anything that you want to do.
It's really inspiring.
It's very inspiring.
Yeah. And I love it that you were already in a secluded place when the COVID happened, and it led then to this wonderful film which I'm so excited to hear that it's an episode, maybe being able to see more. So that very much excites me. Other than the music, there was also really fantastic animation in this film, especially when Isabel, your character was experiencing the different colors that she was seeing. And you utilized a animation company from Japan, correct?
Yeah. Actually, she's an animator, and I had seen some of her work, and seeing that work kind of inspired me, because I knew there were going to be parts of this film that were going to be really challenging with our budget, and knowing this idea of synesthesia. We decided that Shishi, who had done this incredible Chanel commercial, I mean, she's very commercial. She had never done anything like this. And so it was a coup. I mean, the fact that we got her to do this and to step in and to want to do a film. I mean, normally she does maybe 15 seconds, 30 seconds. We asked her for 11 minutes, which in the beginning we were supposed to do this in like 5 or 6 weeks, and it took like 6 months, because she's never taken on anything this big. But what an incredible process, from across the globe. We were Zooming and sort of talking about joy versus sadness, and, how to bring that. We just feel so fortunate, and she's so proud of it. We still haven't even been able to officially meet her in person other than Zoom, but we're hoping one day we'll get to sit in the audience with her and watch it.
Yeah. It really added a quality to it that would have been difficult to explain what your character was experiencing without that animation.
Yeah.
If you were able to put into just a few sentences what you feel the theme of your film is about, without giving away too much, because we never know if people have seen the film before they see the Q&A. So I don't want to give away the, all of its secrets, but how would you describe it? I'm going to ask Isabel first, and then Lauren, just to see if you both see it in the same way or differently.
Okay. I think that the film's theme is about dealing with loss and guilt, and especially from a young person's perspective, because I feel adults always think that the children might not be feeling the same way as they are, but they always are. And it's definitely a relationship between women of different generations, and
Well said.
Yes, really well said. I like that. I hadn't picked up that idea that it is mostly women in the film, and it is about different generations. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. How about for you, Lauren? How would you summarize the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have said guilt and loss and mother-daughter. Sort of, I think about it as when we decided to call it Fault Line. There's this idea of this crack, right? And it's just starting to open up, and if you don't address it, it just keeps getting this bigger and bigger, and it becomes this chasm of a lack of communicating. I mean, I think that's a theme that I'm interested in my work, and sort of how we get to this place of loneliness, of aloneness, and you're in a relationship with your daughter and you can't talk, you can't communicate. So I really wanted to find that in this movie.
Well, grief will do that to families, right?
Yeah.
Isabel, you're right. Sometimes adults think that children don't experience, and they often experience it deeper and in a way because they don't have words to be able to always put to what's happening to them. And so that was very lovely about this film, is that you really portrayed that desire to be connected, but being held back in some part because of the guilt, and not ever being able to talk about that and process that. And it was such a lovely, in that situation where you did cry when you were talking to your neighbor, Mrs. Corazon, which is Hart, right? That she talks about her situation with her daughter, that it's been 18 years since they've connected, and she kind of said, go, connect with your mom, and resolve this, right? So that that fault line can kind of close up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love your what do you call it when you're talking over the film?
Voiceover. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so poetic with the things that you were saying, especially the last one. It was something like, between the past and the future, it will, things will shift, but you have to just kind of hang on. I thought that was really beautiful. And then also, I hear what your mom is saying in terms of like wanting to ensure that you're educated, because in this film, you could, you were writing a song off of a Elizabeth Bishop poem. I think you're just talented and probably across the board, but that poem also is a very touching poem about loss. And was that something, who found that poem?
Well, I had an assignment in school and I had to choose a poem to read. And I chose that Elizabeth Bishop poem because I asked my other mom, Jane, like, do you have any authors, poets that you would recommend? And she was like, oh, I love Elizabeth Bishop. And I went through some of her work and I found that poem. And I think reading that poem and eventually writing a song about it was we realized it had a lot of connections to the film.
Mhm.
So like my mind was already kind of going to my character.
There was a lot of cross collateral kind of things that we were working on at the same time, whether she was in school, and the process even of making this film during COVID and having the rehearsals. I'm a big rehearser. There's our things coming back up. Why does that do that?
That's okay. It's just everything you say, we're saying yes to.
Yes, thumbs up, thumbs up. So we kind of found all these sources of inspiration, and we were zooming with everybody across the world, talking about the project. And I think things like the Elizabeth Bishop poem and the music, which I share with everybody, even the cinematographer, we were all kind of on the same page. By the time we got to the set, it just kind of took off. It was like magic. It was definitely movie magic. So
the COVID was such a hard experience, and we're still going through it. But it did create something magical within your family, getting you back into filming and creating this opportunity for this excellent actress to show her talent. So I'm just really curious, Isabella, do you have anything coming up in your future, and do you have an agent?
I do not have an agent, but I would definitely be open to getting one. I think that as for my future projects, anything, like, I love acting. It's something that I really enjoy and have so much fun doing, and I would love to continue doing that.
All right.
Definitely.
So pay attention, world. If there is a person out there that wants to represent Isabella, she's free right now. So
yes, she is a free agent.
A free agent. How about for you, Lauren?
I have lots of other projects. I mean, there is hopefully an opportunity for Izzy to continue with this project. We have hopes of telling Mrs. Corzone's story next of her grandson, and that would involve her and sort of helping her find her daughter. So we've been working on that. I mean, we have other projects, but it would be wonderful for her to get out there and do more work with other directors and just keep getting more experience. And she's pretty serious about it. And I'm serious about it too. If anybody wants to drop buckets of money in front of us any day, we'll pick them up and make movies. That's probably the most challenging part of this. It's just so time consuming, and I wish we could be making another one of these episodes tomorrow already. So
how do you try to sponsor and get the money for your films? Is that something that you do by yourself, or do you have a team that helps you out with that?
Up until now, I've done it by myself, and I'm looking at doing crowdfunding for this next project. I mean, I'm hoping this film, because it's doing so well, will help me get in front of more potential funders and production companies that might help us get our work out there. So we're crossing our fingers.
Yeah, well, it is so finely done that I imagine you are getting people saying, I wonder what's next for these two. And I personally am excited to get to be able to see what's coming up next from both of you. You're such a lovely family to be able to talk about in this Q&A. So thank you for your time. We're just a few more minutes left. Is there anything else you want to ensure that the audience knows about this film?
No, I just think it's, you know, I hope it touches people because, you know, we're in the middle of, well, we're not in the middle of it anymore, I hope, but, you know, we're still in this time of being so separated. And I really wanted it to be a movie that starts to let people think about coming together.
Also, I think that the audience for the film is all ages. Like, I don't think it's directed toward one category of people. Like, I want people to know that it's for little kids, it's for older people, it's for like everyone to enjoy and interpret their own way. So,
Yeah, we all go through loss, and we all hopefully go through the healing process and be able to repair those relationships. So you're right, it is a film for all ages. Yes.
Yeah. And thanks for thinking about us and including us.
Absolutely. Just so people know that Fault Line is up for nomination for Best Short Film. So good luck on that for the two of you. We are celebrating our 25th year at Arpa in Los Angeles area. In this festival, we have about 80 films from about 27 countries. So you're part of a wonderful group of filmmakers. I hope you get a chance to be able to watch some of the other films. Due to our sponsors this year, we were able to have the online version be free. So please tell your friends and families to check out the Arpa International Film Festival online. It will be open until November 22nd. So we really do appreciate both of you coming this morning. I know it's afternoon for you, but we thank you for your participation and for this lovely film that you gave us.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.